Laura Lee wants me to tell this story. We were up in Island Park during the summer doing a project, and we got to a job site and we waved at some people on the way in. And the next morning we were getting ready to leave the job site. We were just getting out of bed, and I was winding up a extension cord. And I look up the street and I see a man pushing a lady, and at first I think that they're just goofing around and teasing each other. And then I realized that this man was abusing this woman. He was shoving her as hard as he could across the street. And then she said, "What are you going to do? Hit me?" And so he reared back to start to try to hit her, and he was threatening to hit her. And I yelled, "Knock it off! Hey, knock it off!" Got their attention, and he just kept yelling and screaming at her, and they were fighting and so forth. And I thought he was beating up his wife. Come to find out, it was his sister. They had cabins next to each other, and they were fighting. And because she was upset, he parked his boat on her property, and he was manhandling her, and she was like 70 years old, 65, 70 years old. He was like 60 years old, but he was being a real jerk. And I wanted to call him away from her, and I yelled really loud. They were about 100 yards away, roughly, maybe 70, 80, 100 yards away. And the reason why I called loud is because Sean and Laura Lee were sleeping in the truck. They're married, and they are sleeping in the truck. And there was another guy with us, and I didn't think he would do anything, but I wanted to get his attention, this man's attention, and I wanted to get Sean's attention so that Sean would come out and help me deal with this person, because I didn't know how crazy he was. But I had a big yellow extension cord in my hand, and I was winding it up, about a 100-footer, and I finally got a 50-footer, got it all wound up, and I got it to where it was about 6 to 10 feet left. And I walked up there, and as I walked up, I kept yelling at him, trying to distract him, said, "Knock it off, leave her alone." And he turned towards me. Now he's coming towards me, and I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't want to hit him with my hands. I didn't want to hurt myself over it. I didn't want to get into a wrestling match. I'm old, and I'm kind of weak and wimpy now, but I did have a good weapon. I had this cord that I used, and as he started coming towards me, I started whipping it around and winding it around, and it was going hard, strong, and fast. And if I would have cracked him in the head with the end of that cord, it could have knocked him out or killed him. It was going so fast. But as he came to me, I backed up, and as I backed up, he kept coming. So I just kind of lightly came out, and I grazed his coat with the end of the extension cord. He's like, "You hit me." I'm like, "No, I didn't hit you." I thought, if you want to get hit, you're going to get hit in a different way. But anyway, by then my son Sean got there, and he heard that, somebody he thought that she had been hit. Well, he threatened to hit her, and he was shoving her like crazy, being very vicious, F this, F that, swearing like crazy. So Sean just came up and says, leave him alone, stop what you're doing. And then the guy turned his back to him a little bit, yelling at her or me again, I can't remember which, but Sean just reached around, grabs him, picks him up, sets him down very gentle into the wet dirt, and just held him. And that guy tried to bite Sean, and Sean just put his hand across his face and hooked in his legs a little bit and kind of rode him like a wrestler. Sean's a wrestler, and just kind of rode him like a wrestler and held on to him, gained control. And the guy says, "Get off me." And Sean says, "No, I'm not going to get off you until you behave." Anyway, he just stayed on him, and I says, "I'm going to call the cops." He goes, "Go ahead, call the cops." And I just dialed 911. And I says, "Hey, send some officers over. This guy's beating up his wife." And anyway, so they sent some officers over. 3 or 4 cop cars showed up eventually and took our statements. Eventually, the guy mellowed out a little bit, but he was going ranting and raving, F this and F that, F and bitch to this lady and so forth. Anyway, so finally he settled down enough, and Sean says, if you behave, I'll let you up. He goes, "Okay, I promise I'll behave," and let him up. So he lets him up, and he walks into his house, his cabin. And these are, now come to find out, this is a brother and sister. She has a cabin, he has a cabin. And anyway, he starts going F this and all. He's just yelling in there while the cops are coming. He's yelling and ranting and raving. Pretty soon he comes out all quiet, starts acting nice, and walks down by the lake. And I just videoed the whole thing. I took pictures of what was going on. He was a jerk out of control. But anyway, I told her, I encouraged her to press charges because he was being abusive to her. I don't know whatever happened, but I was glad that Sean was there and that he was able to handle the guy. But they make fun of me because I started using that cord to whoosh, 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 whip around and You know, I thought I could take his head off with this thing. It was going fast. And I thought, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to let him, let him know that he doesn't need to get too close to me. But anyway, so they teased me about it, but I was glad that it turned out pretty good. Hopefully the guy gets some help and he gets things figured out. I don't know what will happen, but I know that it's best when a bully picks on you to do something about it. So I'm glad that we were able to get her attention and his attention away from her, and hopefully things worked out okay.